So hello everyone, this is Hiren. As you already know, welcome to the channel. We have started the video series on the subject that is a software engineering. We have covered the chapter number 1, that is introduction of the software and the software engineering. You can find the video on the playlist. Okay. Then we have started the new chapter, that is the chapter number 2, the software processes. We have gone through the different terminologies like what exactly the software engineering process is all about. We have seen the layered technology. So let's move towards the slide for the quick recap on that. Okay, we have seen the different definitions of the software processes. We have seen the layered technology, layered technology of the software engineering process. So we have seen the different technology. We have seen the layered technology of the software engineering processes, that is the quality, process, methods, and the tools. We have already seen that, so we are not going to into the detail again. So this is exactly the more important, that is the generic process framework. I would like to go into the recap into the detail again. So this is the very foundation, this is a very fundamental of the software engineering subject. Okay, so in today's lecture, so rather going into the forward, I would like to pause here and would like to go into the detail again this framework, and also would like to give you the some of the real-time examples so that you will have all these processes in your mind. So this is very important thing. So what is this about? This is a generic process of software, generic process framework for the software engineering. Okay, so let us go into the example. So generally what happens exactly when you are running any IT company, when you are doing any job as a project manager. So as a project manager, what will be your task? Task is to get the projects, right? So when you get the projects, let's say if any clients from India or out of country will comes to you for any software projects. So software projects can be anything like web application, mobile application, iOS, Android, anything. Software application can be anything. So let's say, let me give you the example in nowadays. So here there is a pandemic is going on, the corona times is going on. So most of the vendors are trying to go online. Most of the grocery and the vegetable vendors are trying to go online with their store. They want to open their website, they want to open their mobile application. All the vegetables and the fruit vendors and the grocery vendors. Okay, so what they will do exactly from India as well as out of India, even in India, in the small town, vendors would like to go into the online. So what they will do, they will contact any IT, any software consultancy firm or any software company to develop mobile app or web application for them. So they will contact them. So there will be a project manager to get the communication with them. So what exactly the task of project manager is to get the requirement. Okay, so it's like what will be the requirement of that particular vendor. Like let's say if vendor wants a mobile application like a Swiggy, Zomato, another vendor might need the some of the requirement, because let's say a particular vendor wants application like a Swiggy, Zomato, so that particular application requires a higher number of budget. So that application might cost you more than 2 lakhs, 3 lakhs. Okay, so but some of the vendor don't have that enough budget, so they need enough number of, yes, they need application, but they don't need so many of features like the Swiggy, Zomato application have. They need some basic operations, like a user can come and like place the order and just give the message. So it completely based on the requirement. It is, so also different grocery and the different vegetable vendor application differs on the requirement, so the price differs. So this is the task of the project manager, to get touch up with the client, to get the exact requirement, like what are the features client need for their application, for the software exactly. Okay, so it is not like that this is a one time call. This is the detailed call. It might be a one-to-one meeting with the client to understand its requirement. So it might be the 2 calls, 3 calls, or 4 calls to understand the requirement properly. Okay, because you are going to make a whole system, it will be a more architecture. So they will so the project manager will communicate properly twice, thrice, I don't know, but it depends on the requirement. Once the requirement is more clear to the project manager, so what the project manager will do, project manager will try to capture this requirement, that the requirement that is captured orally, will try to capture the requirement into a document. It store all the client requirement into a document. That document in technical terms defined as a software requirement specification, that the SRS document. So we have already covered this, but just put this thing into your mind, that is a SRS. We will have the separate chapter for this. For the SRS document will be storing the requirement for the client's requirement with that is captured by the project manager. So this was the phase number one, that is the communication. So this is the phase defined in different terms. So the phase can be categorized as a communication. It can be named as the requirement analysis phase. It can be categorized as, it can be named as the feasibility studies phase. It depends on the different books, on different, if you go into different website, you will have a different name. So this is a phase number one with the client communication. You can define as a communication phase or the requirement analysis phase, or you can define the requirement analysis as well as the feasibility study. Why feasibility study? Because when you exactly capture the requirement, so you also have to capture the feasibility, whether it is doable or not. You are getting a requirement, it is feasible by you, it is implemented by you or not. So this is also the feasibility study, because you are getting the projects. If you get the requirement, if you get the project, but later on you will feel that you are not able to do that, it is not implemented by, it is not feasible for you, so it will be a very much difficult situation to handle, right? So this is also the comes, that is a feasibility study. So that feasibility study, that also that needs to be taken care. Okay, so this is also about the phase number one. Now there is a second, that is a phase number two, that is the planning. So what exactly is planning all about? Planning in the terms of, let's say, we have seen the communication and the planning phase of the generic process framework. Okay, so we have seen the communications. So in the planning, let's say some communication is like done, some communication with the clients is completed. As I told you, any grocery vendor or vegetable vendor wants to sell the groceries and he wants to make the app, so he will be like contacting the any IT company, the project manager. The task of the project manager is to capture the requirement and store into the document. The document name is SRS document. Okay, so that is the phase number one of the process framework of software development lifecycle. Then the next phase is the planning. So in the planning, there are some plans that needs to be prepared before moving towards the modeling and the implementation. And like, what are these plans? Okay, so like the plans is like that you have to schedule your timing. Let's say once you capture your requirement, you have to identify how much time the particular project needs to take. Okay, so if you are saying in 3 months, then you have to prepare a plan for all the 3 months, what you will be doing on to the week number 1, like 3 months, like a 12 weeks. So what you will be doing into the first week, second week, third week, each and every day. You have to prepare the milestones. So what exactly the milestones is? Nothing but achievement. Like after a week we will complete this, you will, once you achieve that would be your milestone. Okay, so this is a kind of thing, that is a planning. You need to prepare a plan, you need to prepare your work schedule. So how you'll be preparing? There are the different project planning tools already available. When you search into the Google, one of the tool is from the Microsoft also. There are the different project planning tools. So these tools are used by the project managers in the company. The senior, you can say, your like a senior, very much senior designation is your project manager. Then after the project manager there will be the senior managers and then the junior developers. So this is there is a senior position of the project manager. This project manager will use this project planning term, okay, so to map the planning. So see, everything, any work, if does not completed on a time, it does not have any meaning, right? You have to complete on a time. So to complete on a time, you need a schedule. Okay, so you have to prepare a schedule. Then you have the technical task, like what will be the task into the particular plan. You need to identify the technology, like which technology you will use, like for which technology, which person, which developer you will use. So in the IT form, this developer and the persons are described as a resources. Okay, so when we term as a resources, it does not mean the computer or a PC. A human is also described as a resources in the IT form. So the technical term is you have to identify the resources, like which are the resources you will need for the particular project. You have to define a project plan in the terms of timings, like what you will be doing, how you will be completing this project, all this thing, right? Once your planning is completed, then you will be like modeling your requirement. You will model your requirement. See, ultimately modeling, what does it mean? It like you will get the detail analysis. There will be the designing team, and you will design the architecture of your system. See, I am saying the design, I am not saying the HTML CSS designing, that is the implementation part. I am talking about the modeling. I am talking about the software architecting, software architect. So that in that way you will design a paperwork, you will define an architect for your software. Like there are different methodologies available currently. The methodologies are the UML diagrams, unified modeling language, in which there are different types of diagram. Let's say the types of diagrams are class diagram, object diagram, data dictionaries, data flow diagram, use case diagram. So using all this diagram, using all these modeling techniques, you will convert your requirements into your paperwork. So this is the thing. This is part of the modeling. So modeling is nothing but the whole paperwork. So once your requirement is properly captured, you have developed your plan, and you have developed your plan, and you have defined any modeling techniques. Most, you can say 50% of your work is almost completed. 40 to 50% work of your development is completed, because modeling is very important. Let's say if you are choosing, you will use the Java technology to implement a project. So in the modeling, in the class diagram, you will identify how many number of classes you will need, the name of the classes, the variables of the classes that have, the methods that classes will have, private, public members, all this thing. You will define this thing for every class. You will define a relationship between all the classes. Okay, so in the data flow diagram, you will define the flow of the data of your application. In the use case diagram, you will define the actual features of your your software application. Okay, object diagram, you will define a communication between the objects, right? Then you will have the activity diagram. You will define each and every activity, like once a user will going to come to a website, what he will do, he will like register, he then will do login, then he will go to your purchase your any item and all that. So you will define activity with the activity diagram. There are the sequence diagram, the sequence of the activities are there. So you can search on that, okay, into somewhere, like UML diagrams, unified modeling language. There are the diagrams. Like once you prepare all this diagram, ultimately what you are doing, you are converting your requirement into the paperwork, into the visualization. You can say you are converting your text information into the visualization. So once your visualization is ready, the task for the development team, task for the developers would be more easy. Okay, so once your communication, planning and modeling is completed, around 40 to 50% of your work is almost completed for your software development. Okay, So then comes that is the construction for the code and test. So construction can be defined as the coding and testing. So these are the most important part also. Once your modeling is ready, your development team will use that modeling, that visualization, and convert that visualization into the actual code in any of the technology you have defined, let's say Java, .NET or Python, anything. It will convert, they will convert your visualization, your modeling work into the actual implementation. See how much easy the work for the particular developer is. They know what are the classes need to be used, what are the name of the classes, how many number of classes, what will be the variable names, what will be the relationship between them. All this thing they know the flow of the data. Only they have to prepare the development, and they are the experienced developer. They will develop in the quick time. Okay, so it depends on the software application. So that is the reason why I am saying that once you have completed your communication, you have captured your requirement properly, your communication is proper with the client. If you have planned your project properly, and you are following that plan, it is not like that you have planned it but you are not following that plan. If you have developed the plan, and if you are properly following that plan, then you have properly designed your models. If you have properly designed your modeling techniques, if you have proper analysis, if you have designed your software, if you have the proper visualization onto a paper with accurate, I must say the accurate thing, okay, then the task for the developers would be more easy. But that I'm not saying the task would be much easy. For their task will be reduced, because they have to prepare the class, they need to prepare the relationship between the class and all that. They need to do the paperwork, but the designing team is doing the paperwork for them. They just need to they need to convert the designing into the implementation. So the task is reduced. I cannot say that the task is easy. Development is not an easy task. Yes, I must agree on that, but it is not difficult at all. Okay, so I'm saying the task is easy, the task is reduced, I must say, rather than task is easy for the developers. Okay, the actual task is reduced. So now the task of the developers to convert their visualization into the actual implementation. Okay, so once the developer is like starting to prepare the implementation, okay, so they will define and they will develop the application by module. Let's say first they will define a login page, like a home page of your web application, like where the user come, what the user see, then the register module, then the login module, then the user login, user authentication, and then you can say the products module, and the product listing and cart, and slowly and payment, and slowly they will move gradually, not directly. They will move gradually. They will develop your application modules by modules. Okay, so let's say a developer is developing that in the software application, there will be the number of developers. It can be a one developer, or it can be a 10 or 15 or 20 developers. It depends on the size of the software. It depends on the budget. Okay, it depends on the budget, right? Okay, so this is, so they will start to develop by, it can be possible all the developers like assign the different modules. Let's say there is a very much big application like Swiggy and Zomato web application, so all the developers are assigned the different module. One developer is used to make the your front end designing with the HTML CSS. One developer needs to develop a login module, another developer needs to module the register and all these modules. Okay, so any developer, let's say one developer is assigned for the login module. Once he develops this login module, he will also do the primary testing. See, I will change the term, the letter. They will do the primary testing. Primary testing is called as the unit testing. See, when you are like doing a coding, when you are developing a program of sorting a 10 number, so ultimately you will, when you develop the program, you will like you will of course test it, like the testing is working properly or not. But you will not going to test it with a different test cases, with a different test cases. Okay, let's say if I would say you let's say any if you are doing any program, you will do the primary testing. You will not going to test in detail. Let's say in the case of when you are a developer, you will design the login page. So what you will do when you have designed a login page, you will like only the check the particular thing. Let's say the UI is looking properly, fonts are looking properly or not, and these are the things and all that. You will do the primary testing. But there are the different teams sitting over there. There is a team of the testing. They will do the detailed testing. They are there to crack the developer's code. Because the task of the testers to find the bug, to find the loopholes, to find the problems in the application or the anything what the developers have designed. So it is, I'm not like saying that they are the enemies of the developers, but this is the task to find the bugs whatsoever have been developed by the developer. Let's say a developer has designed the login page. Okay, in the application they have designed the login page. So what the developer will do, developer will check the login page and all that. He will try to log in with the email ID, with the password and all that, right? But so that was a primary testing. Now the developer will move this login module to testers. Like he will say that now the login module is ready, you can test it. So now yes, of course the testers will do the primary testing with the login ID and password, but they will do the detailed testing. The detailed testing is like they will accurately identify, visualize, like see the each and every design of your login page, like the font size you have used in that is proper or not, the color you have used is proper or not. Let's say the label name you are defining login, that size of the login is proper or not. Like you have designed the login page, it is showing properly on the laptops or not, is it showing properly on the bigger PCs, it is showing properly on the iPad or not. So this is the thing. So these are the they will try to log in with the correct email ID. They will try to log in with a wrong email ID. Okay, they will try to enter with like a very buggy data. They don't enter anything and just do the login. They are like they just like try to break your code anyhow, and believe me, they are able to break your code in the first. So these are these are the task of the testers to find the bugs. So these things calls as a test cases. So test case number 1 to check whether the page looks good or not. Test case number 2, fonts are proper or not. Test case number 3, colors are proper or not. Test case number 4, check whether the page is working fine on Google Chrome. Check whether the page is working fine on Mozilla Firefox. Checks whether the page is working fine on Internet Explorer. These are the test cases. Check whether the login is working properly with a proper email ID. Check whether the login is working with a wrong email ID. So these are nothing but the test cases. So task of the testers are to design these test cases for the particular login module application. So I'm talking about this only one module. So there will be the separate testing for all the different modules. Right, you are getting my point. So once the testers find the bug from that login module, they will assign that bug to the developer, like you have this type of bugs in your login application, so please resolve it. So developer will have to look into that. Okay, so developer will try to resolve the bugs. Once the bugs have been resolved by the developer side, he will assign the bugs to the testers again. Sorry, not the bugs, but the application by resolved bugs to the testers again. Now tester will test again with that test case ID with a more detailed testing if the bugs are resolved or not. They also need to check by resolving that bugs if there any other issue will be there or not. So there will be the whole testing, not only the testing of that bugs. They need to test the whole that login module again, all the test cases. Are you getting my point or not? It is not like that they testers need to test only the bug fixes. They need to test the whole application. It might be possible that because of the bugs some other features may be distracted, so they need to check. If any other features have to be distracted, they need to revert back to the developers as well. So if after testing the bug fixes and again testing the whole application, if any bug found, again the tester will divert the application to the developer, like assign the bugs again the cycle goes on until and unless all the bugs are resolved. So this thing happen for all the application module. Let's say for the login module, this process happens. For the cart module, for the product module, this process happens. So once all the modules are defined, once all the modules are defined, and once as of now they are separate, right? Once all the modules are defined, they are properly tested, they are now bug free. Okay, so now they are the separate, then now the task comes of the integration. We have to integrate all the thing to make a one application, like a login module, like a cart and the backend on the products and all the things. We have to combine all the things. See, when we combine all the things, it might be possible that again a bug comes into the picture. Surely bugs come into the picture, of course bug will be there. So again the whole application will be diverted to the testers, like test the whole application. Now the testing will be more rigorous, because now you are testing a whole application. There will be so many number of test cases, so many number of detailed testing. It might take 8 days, 10 days, 15 days. It will be the depends on the size of the software, right? Okay, so this is the thing. So if testers find any bugs, they will revert back to, let's say they find bug on the product, they will revert that a bug into the product team. The team have developed that particular product module. Once this bug is resolved, then again will be, let me give you the example. If testing the whole application, if testers found the bug in products module, so what they will do, they will transfer this product module, not the product module but the whole application to the product team, because the bug is in the product team. Once the product development team, once the bug has been resolved by the product team, the whole application back given to the testers again to test it again. So see, now the testers have to test this bug fixes of the product module, but they need to test whole application again. It might be possible again that by resolving that product issue, there might be the newer bugs into the application, so they need to do the whole testing again. So it might take the new 10 days to test the whole application. So are you getting my point? So this is exactly the process. So it is not like that the testing is a small thing. Testing is a very much important thing. Like once all this process has been completed, now a final team can say that a development and testing team agrees that now the product is fine from our side. Now they will give the green signal. Now it can be given to the client for the use. So now the next phase comes into the deployment. In the deployment side, you have developed your software. Now it is your task to deploy your software application onto the server, onto the cloud, and up and running and give to the client. Okay, so what you will be doing, you will be doing the deployment. So in the case of deployment, you will, once you deploy that, you will show to the client. Also you will have the feedback. Also you will be having the feedback for the client, from the client. Okay, so there will be some twist on the feedback. Okay, this feedback is a constant thing. It is not like that like once you are developing a whole application, then you are getting a feedback. No, you will be in a constant touch with the client. If you have developed a small module, you have to get approval of a client. Check this if it is working properly. If you are agree, then and then we will move forward, right? Otherwise what happens, like let's say if you are not getting a constant feedback from client, once what you have developed at the end of the product, if client is saying that like no, I don't want this type of product, I need this type of product, then your whole time is wasted. You will not get the money at all. So the feedback is very much important. At last you are getting the feedback, it is fine, but the feedbacks will be there constantly throughout your software development life cycle, throughout, from the communication, planning, modeling, design, construction, development. Each and every progress a day's progress, a 2 days progress, or a week's progress, you have to update your client. You have to get the feedback of your client, okay, whether this particular thing is proper. If you give the green signal, then and then we can move forward for the login module, for the product module, for the each and every module. Okay, so we were in the deployment. So once you are like done with the deployment, your client agrees, okay, so he will release some payment. It might be possible he will release the 80% of the payment, the 20% remaining, because it might be possible, yes, it is possible that once the 100 number of users and 200 and 500 number of users, it might be possible that your website or your software may crash. So you also have to provide the maintenance of that for some time. You will define the time on the initial process on the communication side, like I will do the maintenance for this application, like when you are communicating with the client, while the requirement, you will define a budget. Okay, like this project will take the $2,000, $3,000, and this will include 6 months of maintenance, 1 year of maintenance, or a 3-month year maintenance. So after the 1 year, I will charge this much amount for the maintenance. So as a contract, you have to be there for the maintenance for the specified period of time what you have defined, right? So this is exactly the process of the software development life cycle with the generic process with a real time example. That is a communication, planning, modeling, construction, and deployment. I hope you will have now more detailed about the process, about the generic process framework. So we'll see and next thing under the next lecture. So thank you very much for watching a video. Have a great day. We'll meet on the next lecture. Thank you.